When Todd said that the Elder Scrolls 6 will be next gen, I assumed he meant consoles and not people. That's not even a joke. We're looking at a potential 20-year gap between Skyrim and Skyrim 2.
4 times the size, 16 times the detail.
Liar!
But despite yet another year without so much as a queef of information out of Bethesda, the army of Todd's most delusional soldiers remains strong, even after that Game Awards statue turning out to be not Elder Scrolls related. Yet, the fact remains, the announcement trailer is 7 years old at the point of recording this video, and we're still likely far off from release. As such, let's go over some copium techniques with regards to waiting for the game, and rank them on an objectively correct tier list, as it's been a while since we did one of those. So, unlike Bethesda, let's not waste any time and get right into it. The rolling prediction of it's coming next year is a sort of medium-level cope. These guys are the radical centrists of the schizophrenic asylum that is the remaining Elder Scrolls 6 believers.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
Not willing to commit to a specific date other than at some point within the next 365 days, the next year enjoyers deserve praise at least for their sheer dedication to their belief, despite being wrong 7 times in a row, one for each year elapsing since the trailer release. So far. It's coming in 24, 25, 26, but the only thing that should really come is these guys to their senses. They are the edgers of the Elder Scrolls fanbase, constantly blueballing themselves and everyone around them with a feasibly soon release date, to the point that their groin area is a deep Dunmer shade.
Maybe next year. Let's see what happens.
They get a B tier for consistency and a slightly lower level of insanity than some of the others on this list, because, believe me, it's going to get worse. Whatever skooma the It's Coming Next Year guys were smoking, the Shadow Droppers doubled it and gave it all to themselves. According to Todd's truly most delusional soldiers, the Elder Scrolls 6 is not just releasing within the next year, it's releasing tomorrow, actually, because it's something like the anniversary of Todd's high school chess club, and there is no way that he would let a date that significant go to waste.
You dork. Go back to the chess club.
Yes, I was in the
chess club.
Ridiculed for years by the rest of the equally mentally ill Elder Scrolls fanbase for their "my dad works at Bethesda and he told me this" kind of energy, the Shadow Droppers got their vindication when the Oblivion remaster was surprise released last year, after Todd himself mentioning that he is a Shadow Drop enjoyer. However, it is highly unlikely that the Microsoft overlords will allow something like that to happen and proceed to release Bethesda's flagship product without the appropriate marketing, hype, and, of course, the traditional false promises and gaslighting. A year ago, I would have said F tier, but after Oblivion Remastered, they get a solid B. These people are the doomers of the Elder Scrolls community, and I personally have discounted them for years. However, given recent trends, I concede that they may have a point. Between the lack of any updates from Bethesda and the absolute slop they've been responsible for recently, the doomers may have been right all along. From Redfall to Fallout 76, to the literally who asked for this mobile Elder Scrolls Blades game.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Their track records was already deeply concerning. And then, of course, the final nail in the coffin that was Starfield. Slopfield Star Slop was supposed to be the Bethesda game. A completely new universe, a fresh start unburdened by old, pre-existing constraints, and an updated creation engine, as well as an absolutely sick aesthetic, made it really seem like the stars were aligned. What we got was what we got, and Bethesda returned to shilling Creation Club content and releasing useless, mod-breaking updates for their decades-old games. This scope is C tier, as some of its representatives' only contribution to the community is actively spreading sorrow, but the cope itself is only growing in power as the years go by and our patience wanes. However negative it may be, it is still for those that somewhat care about the game, unlike those that sink into the depths of the logical next step of it won't even be good is I don't even care anymore. These guys have either lost all hope or simply moved on. Indeed, Skyrim was released in 2011, 15 years ago at the point of this video. Another few years of waiting, and the gap between Elder Scrolls 5 and 6 will be old enough to legally drink in Europe, and the question of will people even care about a sequel to an almost 2-decade-long game does come to mind. However, for the sake of fairness, Baldur's Gate 3 was released 23 years after the previous entry, and that didn't prevent its success. But then again, it was a game good enough to stand on its own, and whether Bethesda can match that quality is uncertain. The apathetics, however, couldn't care less, and get a solid A tier for escaping the Matrix. In a way, this is the opposite of apathy, as this part of the community consists of people who just can't let go.
Oh, no, you don't.
What are you doing? Stop!
This group is as close to hope as this tier list of deranged coping mechanisms will have. These are the guys willing to brain damage themselves for amnesia to grant them the ability to experience Skyrim again for the first time.
You're as beautiful as the day I lost you.
The Seekers are eternally chasing that high, that feeling of first diving into a vast, imaginary world, full of new experiences, characters, and stories. And in our relatively free market economy, if Bethesda will not give it to them, somebody else will. While not every studio can capture the magic that makes Bethesda games so appealing,
So, I'm non-binary.
What the hell are you talking about?
many have tried, and went about it in their own unique ways, and the Seekers are nothing if not open to new things. And if the next Skyrim replacement turns out to be complete ass, that's okay, because there is always something new on the horizon. The Seekers go into S tier for having a positive attitude and the least mental illness of anyone else on the list. The flip side of the coin are those looking not for a Skyrim replacement, but a Skyrim killer. This phenomenon is not unique to the Elder Scrolls, with similar groups forming in the Call of Duty, Tarkov, and several other communities. The haters seek the death of Elder Scrolls not for their own enjoyment, but as divine punishment upon Todd's luscious head. Angered by any one of the admittedly disastrous Bethesda mistakes, From false promises to false advertising and actual scams, the haters make up most of the audience of the "It's so Jover for Bethesda" videos every content creator makes at least once a month when their rent is due. It's not enough for the hater that the Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't succeed. It must crash and it must burn, with severe public backlash and a new Big Boss video on the state of Bethesda. C tier for being the most depressing demographic to be around, but not quite F tier because, unfortunately, they have a point. Yeah, this is going straight into the F tier, lads. I'm not even gonna lie. All I get out of this channel is the urge to replay Skyrim every time I make a video, and then the realization that I played this game as an actual child, and am now what the youth refers to as certified unk. But that is all part of Todd's genius. See, there is a clever Easter egg in the game title, where the Elder part of the Elder Scrolls refers to you absolute fossil. Speaking of replaying Skyrim, however, it is a well-established fact that the modding community keeps both Fallout and Elder Scrolls alive. Talented individuals, and sometimes entire teams of modders, labor without rest or any actual financial incentive to make the games truly special. Pretty much everyone is aware of this phenomenon, except Bethesda themselves, who keep pushing paid Creation Club content and pointless mod-breaking updates, most likely to encourage the purchase of said paid Creation Club content. Mods allow not just for an enhanced experience, but also near infinite replayability. We are now at a point where you can essentially turn Skyrim into a completely unrecognizable game. Do you want to play Elden Ring with an Elder Scrolls flavor? You can. Do you want to experience Skyrim's story while feeling like you are playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla? I question your taste, but it is possible. Modding gets an easy S tier. The Incognito tab version of the previous section, but legitimately responsible for like half of the current Steam player count, the Gooners are the slimy backbone of the Elder Scrolls community. They are the sticky white glue that still holds Skyrim adhered to the top 50 most played games in the charts, and what they lack in integrity, they make up for with dedication, consistently gooning to Serana for the last 15 years. Some of the most talented modders go down the path of the dark side, meticulously crafting the perfectly lifelike animation of the most devious backshots to grace the virtual landscape, proving once and for all that it is easier to learn C++ in your spare time than speaking with a woman in real life. Never thought I'd wait for Elder Scrolls 6 side by side with a gooner. What about side by side with a friend? Sure, just don't touch me. B tier. Oblivion Remastered certainly hit the spot as nostalgia bait and was a commercial success. However, it missed the mark with the younger audiences, who saw it for what it was: a 20-year-old game with an extremely nice coat of paint. The outdated mechanics were a particularly glaring issue, but there is a solution to that. A group of dedicated fans, on their own free time, and somehow of their own free will, decided to recreate all of Oblivion within the Skyrim engine, turning a 20-year-old game into a completely brand new 15-year-old game. Jokes aside, the project looks phenomenal, and the modders deserve your praise and support, and I am so grateful that we can play it while we wait for the Elder Scrolls 6. And that's it for the Copium tier list. Me personally, I've been through various stages of severity of all of these, so let me know where you are at down in the comments below. And since you're already there, you might as well like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. More F-tier content is on the way, and a huge shout out to my channel members who are all in the S tier. I promise that a 40k video is next. I've already done, I would say, maybe like half of the script, and spent an entire full business day on the thumbnail, and not to jork my own peen, but it will be an absolute banger, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and as always, until we meet again.